Leanne Harris, CEO for Keller Williams Portland Central. And today on Getting to Know Your Realtor, we have Emily Hetrick here with us. Hi, Emily. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you.
Wow. I have to tell you, this is what's crazy about you and I doing an interview today is that we have been through so many different markets together.
Oh, yeah.
The last time, the big real estate crash, right? And we have been together in real estate since way back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Insane. Tell us your journey. Tell us your journey about real estate.
Yeah. So I got my license when I was 22 years old, which was 20 years ago, which tells you exactly how old I am. I had a pager when I started in real estate. It was very competitive back then. Most real estate brokerages.
Wait. Did you just say you had a pager?
Yes.
The question is, do you still know your pager phone number?
No.
I do. I can remember my pager phone number. Okay. So you would get beeped. And then what?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, basically this was kind of like when cell phones were really expensive and kind of just coming out. So I had to have a way for clients to reach me. And so I had a pager.
That is hot.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time. I spent a lot more time like at the office, like waiting for the phone to ring. And I worked at, it was a great little brokerage, little boutique brokerage in Northeast Portland, but, it was still really competitive. I would say there was camaraderie, but there was always sort of this competitive edge to it. So a lot of my learning was legitimately sink or swim.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're writing your first offer. Well, go ahead, have fun trying to figure that out. Okay. You're, like taking your first listing, have fun trying to,
You did that with marketing too. You were very sink or swim with your marketing. Like I can remember, the rest of the world was kind of crashing around us. And you were one of the only people that was still in publications. And I can remember the ad and I'll never forget it. And that was you hugging a house.
Yeah.
And it had something like, tree hugger Emily or something. And I thought it was the cutest ad on the face of the planet. And honestly, your business continued to grow and grow and grow in the downturn.
Yeah.
And it was like, you were taking risk after risk.
I was. I tried to do the opposite of what I saw everyone else doing. So honestly, a lot of that just came from just being authentic, which is something that has carried through for me this entire time. I'm still with me. I often tell my clients, I'm not selling you I am selling you a house, but I'm not selling the house. You can make your own decision. You're going to make your own decision about what house you want to buy. Right.
Yeah.
I always give my clients the benefit of the doubt that they are smart enough to figure out what house they like. But what my job is really in sales is to sell myself. And the only way I can do that is by being authentic. Otherwise it doesn't feel good. Yeah. And I am not about any relationships or any transactions or any interactions that don't feel good. I mean, I really believe strongly in the whole win-win or no deal thing that like really rings true in my heart. And so I've always tried to do business that way. So yeah, a lot of my earlier print ads were very much like, I like to like browse on Craigslist and I like bluegrass and I play music and blah, blah, blah. Like it was like, and by the way,
you play music.
I do. Yeah. Yeah. It's no,
I play an amazing ukulele.
Yes. It's a giant ukulele in the form of a trash can. I play the,
that's right.
It's the one string bass, but it is an all girl ukulele band. And someday we will do it again.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Rona to be over. So tell us the high of working in real estate. Like why, this is the question that I ask every single one of my guests that come on here. I want to know what's the high, what's the low, because everything that goes up must come down. And I think a lot of people just feel like, oh my gosh, I can get into real estate and it's going to be amazing. And I'm like, okay, well, you might want to talk to a rock star like Emily. And Emily, you are always in the top 1% of sales. I think that it's really important to point out that your team has been successful year over year over year over year. You're always in my top 15 agents. In fact, you are you're the number one female earner in our brokerage. So very, very, very cool. So what's the high? What's the low?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, I mean, honestly, so the high for me, and this is the thing that like gets me out of bed every day is connection. It's whether it's connecting with clients, connecting with other agents. It's that human connection. And I feel like, I mean, this year's been an obvious challenge
Sure.
in that regard, but I feel like I have done a fair job of being able to maintain connection, whether it's, you know, whatever medium it's through. I really, really enjoy, and that's what feeds my soul, is just the connection. Like I meet somebody at a house, they're just starting their search, they're super excited. I'm like, you know, not necessarily intentionally wowing them, but you know, I'm like giving them all my juice, right? I'm like, well, look at this, and there's an electrical panel, and here, you know, like I'm giving them all my juice and all my best advice, and they're like, wow, okay, there's a lot more to this that we weren't expecting, and now they feel like they need me. And that's a good feeling. And plus I'm like connected, and I stay friends with my clients usually for years. You know, and well, again, in non-COVID times, we hang out. But so, you know, just maintaining those connections, but that's really where it's at for me. That's really my, like, if I was going to say, if there was anything that was a high, it would be that. You know, I mean, other than that, I love training, you know, I love teaching new agents.
I usually get really good feedback when you teach new agents too.
I love it.
Everybody calls me, they're like, have Emily teach more.
I love it so
Emily.
much. I love it so much. I try to make it fun and bring some levity to it, because
You're really good.
a lot of it's really dry. So you got to bring some like jokes. Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the funny thing about real estate, is that people think it's, you know, looking at pretty houses, but really what it is it's reading contracts, and it's knowing how to put a contract together the right way. And it can be kind of dry. It's like reading tax code, you know?
yep. Yeah, it can be. And, you know, I also really enjoy the negotiation aspect of it. And my mom was a legal secretary and taught legal writing at the College of Legal Arts when I was a kid. And so there's something about writing contract verbiage that also,
I love that.
I know it's a really weird kind of weird thing, but I really like that part. And there's also, I'm also like an inner data nerd. Like I really enjoy seeing like, why did this house sell for this much? And how come that one sold for less? And, you know, what are the differences, and what are all the variables that go into market analysis? And so, you know, that comes up a lot for sellers. And that's kind of where I shine for sellers, is, you know, being able to, you know, to figure out what houses are worth and why.
And you know, it's funny that you say that, because you've had a couple tough listings this year.
Oh
And I actually went to visit them because, you know, I was searching for my forever home, and I went to go visit your listings. And one of them, I was like, she nailed it. You nailed it with the marketing. You nailed it with the price. You nailed it with like every single part of it. And so I think that takes finesse with a seller, because you know, that's where people raise their kids. That's where people want, you know, they believe that their house is better than everybody else's. But I do love that you're an internal data nerd, and that you know exactly those little nuances. And what I find with you actually is that you end up getting multiple offers, and you actually end up selling the house for more than you listed it for.
Always try.
Do you have a strategy around that?
I mean, those are conversations. And, you know, I have an extremely intelligent client base. You know, I mean, I do, even though I work with a lot of newbies, I feel like I'm working with these people who are, I don't know if they're all engineers or what, but they all seem to be like really smart. And so I have to give them, you know, a ton of information, and all these conversations, you know, they take a while, you know, to sort of hash out. And, you know, so, and that's, call it what you want. You know, I mean, I'm pretty confident in my listing strategy as far as what it's going to take to make sure they get the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time, which is what everyone wants at the end of the day. So if I can just keep bringing everyone back to that point in the conversation of like, let me just get this straight. This is what you want, you know, and this is how soon you want it to happen, and just leave the rest to me. And as I get older and as I go through my career, I'm finding more and more clients being willing to just put all of their trust in that. And when that happens, magic happens. Because if someone says, you know what, here are the keys to the castle, you make it go, and, you know, we'll just do the best we can, and I have free run of it. and I can stage it and I can photograph it and I can really bring it, to its highest value, and price it accordingly with what's going on a week by week basis. Cause the market actually changes week by week. If you start looking, if you're really looking, it's like one weekend, 6 listings come on, the next weekend, 1 listing comes on. So you really got to like time that out and look at what your competition is when you're working with sellers. But all of those things come into play. And so being able to be as far along as I am in my career and having people place that trust in me is pretty huge.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. Okay. 3 nuggets that people can walk away with. What would Emily Hetrick, your realtor, give you as a nugget to walk away with? And this could be to clients. We talked about this before interview. It could be, what you want to tell your clients, but also maybe what you want to tell other real estate agents, because, there are a lot of real estate agents out there, and a lot of them are not as skilled as the folks that I'm interviewing. And so it's sometimes nice to give them a little lift up. So what do you got?
I'll give you a nugget for each.
Okay.
So my nugget for other real estate agents is don't wait to bring in leverage to your business. If you are, getting started and you feel like you're drinking from the fire hose, you're taking care of just the clients that are in an immediate need. It's a lot. It can be a lot. And then you're not nurturing your pipeline down the road, and then you're worrying about follow-up and all these things. Anyway, I would say just don't hesitate to bring on leverage, because even though it may seem like, oh, I can't afford to pay an assistant or an administrative person, as soon as you make that leap of faith, and it is a leap of faith, you will double your business. It's pretty much a guarantee. And I don't know what I would do without my person in real estate, who's my admin, she's my everything. I don't know what I would do.
She's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it would be really difficult, and I would not be sleeping at night.
I think that people they jump too soon though. So they get an assistant and then they're done with them in 3 months. And I don't think that they've given them enough time. And I think that that's part of it, is that you almost have to make that commitment for a year. Like if you're going to do it, just hunker down and just stick with that person for a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I tend to hire people I like and skip steps in the process because I'm just so anxious for the result.
Yeah.
And so that has been a big lesson for me, is to not skip steps in the process, which is interesting because I don't skip steps in the process for my clients, but when it comes to myself, I almost take better care of other people than sometimes I take care of myself.
I know this about you.
Yeah, it's true. And again, just coming from like, that authentic place of just, that's just who I am. But, I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I want to give them a chance and all this stuff. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But, I would say, everything that you're building a business from the ground up. So you have to remember, it's just like opening a restaurant. It's just like starting a tech business. I mean, it's going to take time. There's no such thing as easy money.
Yeah.
I mean, here I am, I'm, 40 years old, and I can just tell you none of it's easy.
Yeah.
And it takes hard work, and it takes continued diligence. And, I would love to start working on an exit strategy, but I'm going to be in this, until I'm 80.
I mean, I kind of, I always, before I started with Keller Williams, I used to say like, okay, I'm going to retire early and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But what I found was that I don't feel like this is work most days. Every once in a while, there's something tough that comes up and I've got to go solve it. But most days I'm having a really good time with my friends like you. And we're talking about changing people's lives and building wealth for homeowners and doing cool stuff that actually feels like we're changing the world. And then on top of that, doing other fun stuff like giving back to our favorite nonprofits or whatever we're doing. But it's like, I think I'll probably stick it out for a long time too.
Yeah. It's you and me, girlfriend. So we got
forever
to be together.
Anywhere. We're together.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that's the beauty of the culture that you brought to the office too. So I want to thank you for that, because
Oh, thank you.
that's all you. I mean, well, it's KW definitely has, Keller Williams has its own thing too, but you bring that in full force. So
Well, you've been part of our Agent Leadership Council now for 3 years.
yeah,
And is that right? 3 years? And I think, one of the things that people don't know on the outside is that our agents actually lead our office. So your voice is what tells me what to do. And a lot of people don't understand that you're actually my boss. And you get to come and say, Leanne, our agents really want this, and our agents want to be taken care of this way. And then we have votes, and we have a democracy inside our brokerage that helps to push out agendas and make sure that people are taken care of in the right way. And this year, we lowered our cap because it was the right thing to do during the coronavirus, when there's very uncertain times. And yes, it's unprecedented home sales. And yes, we have higher sales than we've ever had. And quite frankly, we're making more money than we ever have this year. But we don't know what that means long term.
no, we don't.
What we wanted to do is we wanted to help our agents to save money this year and be able to sock it away for who knows when, where I'm watching other brokerages having to up their dollars because they don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you and I both know there's highs and lows to this business. And, I don't have a doomsday thing where I'm like waiting for the bottom to drop out at any moment. I actually have really good positive feelings about where the market's going, and especially in Portland. But, I mean, you just never know. And so, to secure yourself, whether you're a homeowner, and buying a house and securing your future and making sure that you have, this long-term wealth investment strategy that includes real estate, because any investment strategy absolutely must include real estate. There's no getting around that. And diversify, right? So it has to include many things, but real estate is definitely one. Or if you're an agent and you're just trying to insulate your business from the highs and lows, which has taken me 20 years to accomplish, I feel pretty well buffered against whatever's coming next. And I also know how to just put my nose to the grindstone at the end of the day. And I know exactly what I need to do to go back, go really back to basics if I have to, and make that happen for me and the people that I love. So, it's all up here. It's all in there. Someday I'll write it all down and have it in more shareable format.
You need to have somebody follow you around and write it all down. Okay, if you were going to write a book, and I always ask all of my guests this, what would it be about? What would be the title? What would it be about?
I mean, if it's related to real estate, I think I would just talk about, the history of real estate in Portland, and just to what I can speak to, maybe like the last 50 years and how much things have changed. I generally work Northeast, Southeast, some of these inner East Side neighborhoods that have really seen a lot of change. So that would be really fun to document.
I think you're part of our diversity chair committee as well.
Yeah, and I have gone around taking photographs of some of the stuff that I've seen. I mean, honestly, I even take photos of cool graffiti that I like.
Oh, nice.
I feel like it's really, well, because it's a sign of the times, right? And I'm really interested in that. And yeah, I mean, the history buff in me would say like, okay, let's like document this time in history in Portland, because it has been pivotal. I mean, it has changed the way we look at housing. It's changed the way we look at, at just like building wealth and where to build wealth and how to do it, where to invest. And it's also changed the communities. I mean, all of these communities, I'm right in the smack dab middle of inner Northeast Portland right now. And I can tell you that everything within 10 square blocks of me has changed rapidly, dramatically in the 10 years that I've lived in this house. So, I guess that would be a book, like just documenting like what happened right here,
I like that. that. Okay. Anything else you want to leave the audience with before we finish up?
Well, Leanne, I was supposed to ask you a question.
Uh-oh. I'm not prepared. So what is it?
So yes, you're prepared for anything, I'm pretty sure. So I guess my question for you is, because I look at you, you're leading 300 plus agents during, a really hard time. I would be curious to hear what your challenges have been over the last 8 months in just leading the brokerage, and what are you telling agents of all different experience levels? Like what's your best piece of advice to put out there?
Well, I mean, I think for starters, the country as a whole is all over the board right now. You've got really high, exciting days. Maybe your candidate won the election, and then you have low, crappy days because they turned the city off again. And then you have a high day because they opened up your favorite restaurant, and then you find out that a family member has COVID. And it's just, I mean, literally, it's a yo-yo. And then we go back to the summer, and then we had the fires, and we had agents whose houses were they were being evacuated, and it's just like it's such a yo-yo of emotion that I think the one thing that I can tell people is that whether you're in a leadership position or not, you have zero idea what other people are going through. And when you feel like getting grumpy, or you feel like land blasting someone, because honestly, I go through those days too. Slow down, stop, and ask yourself the question, do I know everything that there is to know about this scenario? And the answer is absolutely no, you do not, because you do not live in that person's body. So we don't know what other people are going through. So things have not been 100% easy. We've certainly had some upset people, but when that happens, I have to imagine that something else might be going on in their world. Maybe they have a loved one that lost their job during the coronavirus. I just don't know anymore. And so I ask a lot of questions. And I think that the very best thing that a leader can do is ask a lot of questions to understand the landscape instead of assuming and projecting. And so I wake up every day, and like you said, real estate changes weekly. We know it does. I think that, the brokerage changes every hour, and it's critical that you're constantly pulling it back in and you're navigating. I am triaging right now for sure. I'm taking care of people who, I've had 2 agents whose family members have died of the coronavirus. That is not public knowledge. So a lot of people don't know, we're taking care of those families through KW Cares. But we've had 2 family members that have passed away. We've had people that, weren't making very much money prior to the coronavirus, or maybe they were getting their business off the ground, and then their spouse lost their job as well. And so we've got like massive unemployment issues. So I've really coached people even on PPP and all of the SBA loans and things that people could be doing to be taking care of their business during this time, really patting yourself with the income that's coming out through the country. And I think you just keep your eyes open. You ask a lot of questions every day when you wake up, and you try to be as forgiving as you possibly can with people, because you just have no idea what they're going through. And you just try to get them back under your wing, and we ride together, and that means open communication.
I love that. I love that. Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay asking questions. I love that. That goes for clients. That goes for agents in your brokerage. That goes for humans all the way around. Stay curious. Stay asking questions. I love that. How beautiful.
Well, I love you, and I'm super excited that we got to do this today.
Me too. I like the light of my day.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm Leanne Harris, CEO for Keller Williams Portland Central, and that was getting to know your realtor, Emily Hetrick. Bye.